One Piece is a huge world, a giant, global franchise with thousands of episodes and chapters. The world is way bigger than our main cast, with over 1,200 named characters. One of the biggest strengths for the series is its world building. Like, throughout the show, we learn so many new secrets about the different islands and characters throughout the show. Many times, we leave the Straw Hats to follow the journeys of other characters throughout the world. The biggest example being cover stories. One-page illustrations at the beginning of the manga explaining what other characters are up to as we follow the Straw Hat Pirates. Buggy's crew adventure, Hotchan's seafloor stroll, Hidatsu's accidental blue sea life, CP9's incident report, and so many more. All of these are canon and eventually become relevant in the story. Today, we'll be focusing on a cover story featuring our main cast, the Straw Hats Whereabouts arc. So learn how to control the weather, embrace the drag queen lifestyle, and fix your depression with obesity as we look into the Straw Hats Whereabouts arc, the 2-year plan.
First up is our navigator, Nami. Kuma slams her up into the sky. How her back isn't broken is beyond me.
She wakes up and starts screaming and attacking the elderly in their own home. Another reason why I prefer Robin over Nami. This is Herodis, a weather scientist with a heart of gold. He wants to help Nami, but all she can think of is how to get off the island and back to her crew. Herodis calms Nami down by showing her the wonders of weather. Like, did you know a rope can cause tornadoes, or that cotton candy can be used to suffocate your enemies? That's some Bill Nye the Science Guy shit right there. Herodis takes Nami on a business trip to help an island suffering from desertification. He uses his wacky wizard wonders to call forth a rainstorm, saving their island, and all it took was $100. Man. Where was he during Alabasta? After witnessing the beauty of meteorology, Nami wants to learn more about the weather. Unfortunately, she gets tricked into being a slave. Happens to the best of us. After the events of Marineford, the old men of Witheria feel the wrath of the cat burglar as she attempts to steal one of the ships to escape. However, just like SpongeBob, she's a terrible driver and ends up damaging the island. The weather wizards imprison the dangerous woman and converse on how to punish the evil witch. Nami explains to the old men the situation with Luffy and uses fake tears to lower the enemy's special defense and runs off with Herodis so she can get a ship to escape. As she runs away, another newspaper detailing Luffy's return to Marineford interests Nami, who notices something odd about the photo. 3D2Y. The original plan to reunite on Sabaody in 3 days has changed. Luffy pulled this big stunt on Marineford to inform his crew of the new plan to reunite on Sabaody in 2 years. Nami has decided, for the sake of her captain, her crew, and her dream, she will stay on Witheria for 2 years to learn more about the weather so that one day she can create a map of the entire world. Who's gonna tell her? You know what? I'm feeling pretty super today. Let's check in on Franky. On the Grand Line, we visit the future country Baltimore on Katakuri Island, a cold continent which faces harsh blizzards. Inside the storm, we meet Kiton, Gramps, and their meddling dog, Tadamo. They brave the brutal storms only to come face to face with the abominable snowman. However, not even an ice-type Bigfoot can withstand a barrage of point-blank missiles, as Tadamo was programmed for bloodlust and vengeance. Hoping to eat the beast for dinner, the gang check on the damage, only to realize it wasn't a monster, it's Cyborg Franky.
Did bandits steal your pants? Why don't you put on this fur pelt?
That'd cramp my reputation as a freak!
Is somebody gonna match my freak? Is somebody gonna match my freak?
This explains a lot about that whole situation in Water 7. Franky might be a freak in the sheets, but even this degenerate of society can't stand the cold. Keaton and Gramps take him back to the city. The scientists study Franky, amazed by the cyborg technology of cola for batteries. However, these Neanderthals don't have any cola to power him up. What's worse than a freaky nudist who isn't afraid to wobble his pipe around your face? That's right, a gentleman! Just like in Annie's lobby, Franky has been powered up with green tea, turning him into a soft baby bitch. God rest his soul. Top 3 things I would love to see Franky drink. Sprite! It'll turn him into someone who thinks they're cool, but nobody likes him. Coffee! It'll probably just make him talk super fast and maybe have super speed. And finally, pink lemonade. Why? Honestly, I'm kind of craving it. I could go over some pink lemonade right now. Disgusted by his nice demeanor, Keaton has a plan to reignite the super in Fancy Franky's heart. What might that plan be? To throw him all alone in the harsh blizzard with dangerous robot animals. One scheduled weapons left coming right up for this kid. Fancy Franky tries to share his wisdom with the animals, but these robots are programmed to pummel boring people. What seems like a bad idea turns out to be a perfect solution, as all the fighting causes the tea to carbonate like cola, turning Fancy Franky into our regular Super Franky. He's back, baby! It is scientifically proven that if you shake up tea long enough, then it'll taste exactly like cola. Nah. Franky needs to refuel before he turns back. Keaton takes him to the place where the cyborgs are built, the old home of Dr. Vegapunk, the smartest man in the world. A few days later, Franky learns about what happened at Marineford, enraged as he demands a ship. Gramps tells Franky about icebreakers, ships designed to pass through the ice. He believes Vegapunk might have one in his lab, so Franky goes to check. Gramps warns Franky not to do anything dangerous in the lab, like, oh, I don't know, accidentally pressing a self-destruct button? Nah, Franky's weird, but he's not stupid. Vegapunk's research is a historical monument and has become the pride of Baltimore. Franky enters the lab and is immediately chased by Marines and robots. He manages to slip past them and finds one of Vegapunk's research rooms. Oh, cool, a button! Well, sorry, Luffy, but, you're gonna need a new shipwright. Polly could be good. Keaton and Gramps check in if Franky's alive or not. In the middle of the destruction, a newspaper appears, detailing Luffy's return to Marineford. Franky gets up and sees the message, and we see a fucking nightmare. Later on, the freaky family uncover a hidden room. Inside of it is Vegapunk's real laboratory. After learning about 3D2Y, Franky decides he will live on Baltimore inside Vegapunk's laboratory. For the next 2 years, Franky will learn Vegapunk's research and rebuild his body, one suited for the future king of the pirates, so he can continue to live out his goal of sailing the world with his ship of dreams. Why does it smell like cotton candy? Oh wait, that's Chopper! All alone in a strange forest, a raccoon dog walks around looking for and dreaming of its friends.
Chopper! Oh my god! Dude, it's me! Your best bud in the whole world and one of the Straw Hats! Wow! Yup, this is totally real! Don't ruin this for me.
Chopper wakes up. God Damn it! To find himself seconds away from being eaten by giant birds. Chopper manages to escape, while any other person would lose all hope. This reindeer has infinite drive to see his friends again, as Chopper looks around the forest for food to eat. It's too bad getting clubbed on the head wasn't on the menu. Chopper wakes up to see a bunch of tribesmen dancing and preparing an upcoming feast. I hope you're hungry, Chopper, cause we're eating you! Chopper screams at the islanders, who are surprised to see an animal talk. Which, I mean, yeah, that's a pretty logical response. But before they can talk things out, the birds from earlier start wrecking the place, once again giving Chopper a hard time. This is Birdie Kingdom, an island in the South Blue, where the humans and birds are at constant war with each other. A few days later, and Chopper has actually befriended one of the baby birds, who suffered some serious injuries after falling out of its nest. Chopper goes to sleep, only to wake up and find the spherical baby gone. He looks around the forest and finds the Cheeper, but it doesn't take long for things to go horribly wrong as the islanders find and attack them. Then it gets worse as the birds come to at first save the baby, then attack Chopper. This reminds me of the good old days on Drum Island, where both the humans and the animals wanted Chopper dead. Those were good times. Speaking of which, Chopper gets caught again. This time, he's able to actually talk to the tribesmen. Shanba explains the war with the birds. High up on the trees are special herbs used to make medicine. However, Big Bird's shitty cousins took refuge on the island and attacked whenever the natives got too close.
Don't worry, I'll go talk to the birds and ask them to stop picking on you, okay?
Raccoon can't talk bird?
I sure can.
I'm starting to hate the trope of talking animals being able to understand any other living creature. I feel like at most, Chopper should only be able to understand other mammals. It would be like, oh, I'm a human. That means I should be able to understand and speak fluently with any other living person. Chopper tries talking to the birds, but they don't give a fuck, bro. The tribesmen see this and fight back against the birds. The intense battle causes Chopper to fall off as he finally loses hope on the island. However, the mama of the baby bird saves Chopper and screams at the other birds to make peace with the humans. It turns out the birds came to this island to protect their own treasure, as many times in the past, a bunch of crooked humans would try to take their stuff and force them to leave. Look at you, Chopper. You stopped two groups from killing each other in an unnecessary war. Now, why didn't you do that in Skypiea? You could have saved us like 15-20 episodes, my guy. The next day, Chopper sees the birds and the natives being good friends to one another. Just then, Chopper sees the latest article about Marineford. Chopper says goodbye to everyone in Birdie Kingdom and heads for Sabaody. During the flight, he gets another newspaper about Luffy's return to Marineford and immediately learns the game plan for 3D2Y. Chopper asks to study in the Birdie Kingdom library, with knowledge fully foreign to him. They might talk and look dumb, but the natives are surprisingly really smart. For most of Chopper's life, he was seen as a monster. It wasn't until he met Dr. Herolook where he learned to fight like the pirates do for the sake of his dream. Chopper will live on Birdie Kingdom for 2 years to become an even greater doctor and embrace the monster within for the sake of his crew, so that someday he can find a cure for every disease. Ugh, all this talking is making me hungry. Let's see what Sanji's cooking up. Welcome one and all to Peachy Island, located in the Grand Line, a beautiful wonderland where anyone and anything can freely express themselves outside societal norms. Waking up on the island is our B-tier fumbler Sanji, who's being treated by a beautiful woman named Elizabeth. Sanji gives up on seeing his friends for 7 seconds of heaven as he goes to see his savior, although when he enters Elizabeth's home, he notices something different from what he had imagined. That's right, Peachy Island is a paradise for all drag queen brothers, sisters, and non-binaries alike. For Sanji and his toxic masculinity, Kamabaka Queendom is hell on earth. And welcome to Sanji Hates the Gays. Here's the thing. Oda has made many phenomenal characters who are gay and will continue to do so. But this is kinda yikes. All day and all night, Sanji rolls around at the speed of sound trying to run from the gay thoughts. The only thing keeping him sane is to reunite with his friends. The next morning, he continues his morning jog of death only to meet Lady Caroline, the substitute queen of Kamabaka Kingdom. Sanji demands a ship to Sabaody. Caroline is more than happy to accept his request, but on one condition: he must defeat her in combat. Sanji gladly accepts the challenge, thinking this will be an easy fight, but he underestimates the strength, beauty, and colossal confidence of a drag queen as she beats Sanji in the worst way possible by revealing the woman within him. Sanji accepts his feminine side, realizing how much of a creep he's been to the ladies, which holy fucking shit he has been. Like, if anybody did even half the shit he's done IRL, they'd be gunned down on the spot. And so Sanji and his sisters chase the rainbow as he hopes his crew will accept the new him. The next afternoon, the ladies enjoy another beautiful day at the beach. Sanji looks at the newspaper to check his weekly horoscope, only to find out that Luffy was on Marineford and Ace had died. That's right. Finding out that one of your friends was in a war and their loved one died will ungay you. With his head and penis on straight, Sanji reverts back to being a pervert and demands he get a ship to see his crew. During all the shenanigans, everyone sees that the queen has returned. That's right, our mistress, Ipporio Ivankov, is the ruler of Kamabaka Queendom. Sanji stares at Eva with a question mark-shaped snake and asks if he knows anything about Luffy. However, Ivankov doesn't believe Sanji is a part of the Straw Hat Pirates. Knowing he doesn't have time to mess around, Sanji decides to take a ship by force and challenges Ivankov to a fight. He pulls out his strongest attacks, but such a weak kick is an insult to Ivankov as he neg diffs the cook. Zoro fans are eating good right now. Eva shows pity on the closeted Sanji and gives him a newspaper about Luffy's return to Marineford, where he learns about Operation 3D2Y. Later that day, Sanji enjoys the delicacies of Peachy Island and is astonished by the power he feels when he eats the food. Ivankov explains the foundations of food and what it does for the body via aggression.
The food you eat can build your body? Can't say I've ever thought of approaching it that way before.
Sanji, you're a chef! How do you not know about the importance of nutrition and health? Like, that sounds like some shit a fry cook at Burger King would say. Don't eat Burger King, by the way, it is disgusting. Sanji demands to know the secret Krabby Patty formula, but it won't be easy, as he must defeat 99 masters, who each hold a scroll containing a special recipe. For the next 2 years, Sanji's fragile manhood is on the line. For the sake of his crew and his dream to become a chef fit for the king of the pirates, he will fight the entire island of Kamabaka Queendom every day and every night. Alright, no more goofing around. How's our favorite archaeologist holding up? We revisit the East Blue and come across Tequila Wolf, a snow country where for the past 700 years, criminals and refugees are reduced to slaves, forced to work on a never-ending bridge that will connect to different islands. This is Sonia, one of the workers. She walks around the snow during her break looking for supplies. During the scavenger hunt, she comes across a limited edition Nico Robin doing the Family Guy death pose. Sonia takes Robin to her station with the other ladies who are against having a stranger with them, but they begrudgingly agree to let her stay until her wounds heal.
Something about you smells so nice.
I'm not wearing any kind of perfume.
Maybe it's the scent of the outside world.
You smell like New Zealand. The next morning, Soren asks Robin about the outside world and shows her drawing she made of what Soren imagines the outside world is like. Unfortunately, the fun is ruined as one of the workers was a rat and tells the guards about Robin. By the time the guards show up, Robin had escaped, but they interrogate Soren with her drawings on the line. Before the child gets her Monday morning beatings, Robin causes a ruckus and gets caught by the guards so Soren doesn't get hurt. Robin is put in prison and violently interrogated about why she's on the island.
Excuse me, sir, I don't mean any disrespect, but why does our prison uniforms require us to have our shirt open to the point you can almost see our nipples?
Well, it just goes to show. Some men have no taste when it comes to giving a lady a gift.
Aww. So you don't like the miniature stinky feet Sonic statue I made you? Man. Robin is thrown in jail and talks to a strange old man who rambles about rebellion and justice for whatever reason. Just then, an agent of the Revolutionary Army comes by and saves the old man, who happens to be one of the leaders. With no idea who she is, they let Robin free out of pity. They escape the prison, only to be greeted by a bunch of armed soldiers. Congrats, guys. Your reward? A death. Robin neg-diffs everybody, cause let's be honest, Robin's powers would be fucking insane in real life. With everyone saved, the revolutionaries thank Robin and then inform her about the events of Marineford. The revolutionaries say they want Robin to come with them and meet Monkey D. Dragon, the boss and Luffy's father. At first, Robin declines as she solely wants to see everyone again, but takes a ride anyway. During the travel, she's given another newspaper explaining the aftermath of Marineford and Luffy's plan for 3D2Y. Robin thinks back to her past, once being all alone with no one to turn to, only for the crazy Straw Hats to risk their lives against the world government to save her. For the next 2 years, she will travel with the Revolutionary Army for the sake of her crew, so that one day Robin can uncover the true history of the world. Robin's portion of the whereabouts story is super interesting to me solely because it just feels like I'm not watching One Piece. Like, it feels so different with how melancholic and like the completely different art and animation style it has. Like, this totally feels like it could be its own series right now. You guys feeling silly? Cause I want to see what Usopp's up to. Welcome to the Bowen Islands, a flower-shaped archipelago in the Grand Line. Despite being all alone, our president of panic, Captain Usopp, is taking the loss of his friends surprisingly well. The good vibes don't last long as Usopp is attacked by a lion-sized ant. All seems hopeless for our S-tier coward, but he's miraculously saved by the great warrior Heracles. God damn it. After 40 minutes of Usopp trying not to die, he meets Heracles. This is a stupid bit. He meets Heraclesian, a mighty warrior and expert of the archipelago. Taking note of Usopp's hunger, he takes him to the Forest of Gluttony, where the water is noodles, spaghetti and chocolate come from the ground, and meat grows on trees. The American dream. This feels like Discount Whole Cake Island. Instead of sweets, we have meats. Usopp is normally not known for being a glutton, but with his abnormal appetite combined with the most delicious food he's ever had, get fucked, Sanji, he becomes a fatty. You may not like it, but this is what peak masculine performance looks like. Before Heracles can fat shame, the island starts to shape. In reality, the Bowen Islands are actually a bunch of oversized man-eating plants known as stomach barren, who even eat sea kings. The fat-phobic Heracles lets Fatsop die, but thankfully his obesity leads Fatsop to a rope of ramen. That Usopp has now become a monster unlike anything we've ever seen, but one newspaper changes his entire mindset. Now knowing about the death of Ace, Fat Usopp locks in and does everything he can to escape the island to see Luffy. Barely being eaten once again by the Stomach Baron, Usopp apologizes for his weakness and inability to be there for his friend. Eating out of frustration, the key to Usopp's escape comes in the form of a newspaper article. Usopp gets the memo on 3D2Y. What Usopp lacks in courage, he makes up for in accountability. For the next 2 years, he's determined to turn his fat into pure muscle. Heracles decides to help Usopp's growth by teaching him about pop greens. But we'll worry about that in Fishman Island. With a 2-year workout routine set, Usopp will work towards becoming a real king of snipers to protect his crew and become a brave warrior of the sea. Finally, it's Zoro time, baby! Welcome to the dark and gloomy island, perfectly named Gloom Island. Perona was sent here by Kuma after telling him how she'd love to visit a dark and damp place with a creepy castle. Be careful what you wish for, kids. She loves the vibe but is upset she has no simps to do her bidding. Worry not, ghost girl, your prayers have been answered. However, instead of an incel, you get the complete opposite in Zoro. Zoro gets what every down bad weeb, or Sanji, wishes they could have. A cute goth girl nursing them back to health. Zoro screams himself awake, and when he sees Perona, he's ready to fight. However, this ghost girl reminds us just how overpowered she really is. Zoro falls and becomes the new Kumasi. Eventually, Perona feels bad and decides to let Zoro go, but then she changes her mind and goes full psycho.
You won't get away from me that easily. Because you see, I've been lonely far too long.
A cute, gigantic goth girl who wants to keep me here all alone in an empty mansion together for the rest of my life? It's a Christmas miracle!
Perona might have herself a slave, but Zoro's lack of direction makes even the Depression Queen feel miserable. Bored by his stupidity, Perona lets him go. Zoro uses this opportunity to find a way off the island, but Perona decides to walk with Zoro as she has nothing better to do. During their spooky date, they come across an empty battlefield, and just then, Zoro is attacked by an unknown group of soldiers who even give our swordsmen a hard time in battle. These are human drills, the literal definition of monkey see, monkey do. After witnessing a great war, the monkeys have learned to fight like humans, combined with their own natural strength. Alone, Zoro can mid-diff the monkeys, but one after another, these creatures overpower our crippled swordsmen. It's too bad there's no one around who could quickly incapacitate them with her abilities. Although she isn't needed, as the owner of the island finally returns. Each footstep he makes tightens the monkey's buttholes in fear. The eerie feeling reminds Zoro of an encounter he'd had back in East Blue. Emerging from the shadows is Hawkeye Mihawk, the greatest swordsman in the world. Zoro explains how he got on the island, and then Hawkeye bluntly tells Zoro the news about Luffy's dead brother Ace. Before he knows it, Zoro wakes up back in the kingdom. He barges into the middle of Mihawk and Perona discussing whether Moria died on the battlefield, demanding a ship. Hawkeye informs the eager Zoro about a boat nearby, but he'll have to face the human drills again. Despite the danger, Zoro goes anyway. He immediately encounters the baboons, who have now learned Zoro's fighting style. The battle even causes the boat to be destroyed. After another failed attempt, Perona shows Zoro the latest news article about Luffy's return to Marineford. While everyone else got it, Zoro realizes he can't read. This kind of makes me wonder what would happen if nobody understood Luffy's message. Like, we would get the bad ending where in the middle of Luffy training, he just sees a news article about how his entire crew got captured in Sabaody. Thankfully, Zoro gets the memo about 3D2Y and makes a drastic call. Right in front of Mihawk, he bows to his knees, begging to learn under his wing. Disgusted by the warrior's pathetic attitude, Mihawk tells Zoro to leave his sight, not wanting to train someone who struggled so much against the human drills. But Zoro tells him he beat the baboons. Hawkeye asks why he's so desperate to learn from the guy he wants to beat. Zoro simply says, to kill him. To beat the best, he needs to learn from the best. Humored by his fucked up mindset, Mihawk decides to train Zoro. For the next 2 years, Zoro will stay on Gloom Island along with Perona. Learning from the world's greatest swordsman, Zoro will get a whole lot stronger for the sake of his captain, crew, and best friend, so that someday he can beat Hawkeye Mihawk and become the world's greatest swordsman. Last but not least, we have Mr. Underrated Brook. In the depths of the Grand Line is Lazy Bones Island, home to the entire Brook fanbase. The residents of Lazy Bone Island have suffered abuse from the Long-Armed tribe for many years, with nothing left but the clothes on their backs. After failing time and time again calling up every god or deity in the phone book, they try to slide up in Satan's DMs. However, Satan is busy filming Smiling Friends Season 3, so he sends his best buddy Brook instead. The I Love Brook community are more than excited to have summoned their savior. The citizens give Brook a food offering, but it turns out that was all the food they had for weeks. Their leader Peccary tells Brook about their rivalry with the Long-Armed tribe and desperation for help. Speaking of the Long-Armed tribe, they come back to attack and yoink the only girl of the group. Our ghostly gentleman decides to help these poor souls by writing some music rather than, actually going to save the girl. Brook, you can run on water and cut at the speed of sound, right? You should have had no problem saving her. As Brook continues his musical ritual, he comes across the news article about the death of Ace. Oh no! Ace is dead? Am I supposed to know who that is? Having finished his musical masterpiece, Brook plays a little ditty that invigorates the fan club and gives them the strength to fight back against the Long-Armed tribe. Wait a minute, this song sounds familiar. The Dead Bones Club defeats the Long-Armed tribe and saves their captors. Brook tries to scare the goons into stopping their savagery and abuse. However, that completely fails and they steal Brook in hopes of making a quick buck out of him. Now in enemy territory on Sword Mountain Island, Brook has become entertainment for these freaks of nature. Was that racist? The Long-Armed goons are annoyed by Brook's lack of enthusiasm for the upcoming show. 5 minutes before he goes on center stage, they give him the latest newspaper, which shows Luffy's 3D2Y message. For the next 2 years, our classical musician Dead Bones Brook will pick up the guitar and become a rock star legend, so that someday he can reunite with Laboon. And that's the end of the Straw Hat's whereabouts arc. I'm really glad that Toei took the time to fully animate these cover stories, and they did it throughout the entire Summit War saga. It's just so nice to see other parts for the One Piece world and how the different characters interact with one another. It just makes the overall lore of the series that much richer and interesting to dive into. I have said this many times before, but I really wish that they would animate more of these cover stories, like Django's Dance Paradise, Ace's Great Blackbeard Search, or Meet Baroque Works. Like, all of that is perfect content that's canon versus trying to come up with fully original filler content. That's about it. Let me know what you guys think about this cover story. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, the whole YouTube shebang, and I'll see ya in the next video. Bye!